Audiobook Spring. Listen to relaxing novel. Thank you for following and not crossing advertisements. Female doctor and journeys through time. Time to become a princess. Chapter 41. Go shy is more important. 1. Lineson looked down. She knew in her heart that those who did wrong, all of them are the same princess. But in her heart, she couldn't help but feel bad. But still have to receive mistakes made by the same princess as well. Andy, now I don't have bad intentions with the people of the general mansion. I hope you will believe me once. Such a look, Lan Hien had never seen before. He looked so determined that it could soften her heart. Fortunately, she was able to harden herself in time. So laughed in a mocking tone. Believe her or not, in the past, when she finished bullying Tyre, she would pretend to be a good person to visit Dare every time. Fresh at the end, only make Tyre must be in even more pain. It wasn't that the people of the general's mansion had never trusted her. But she is different. This caused their trust to be completely destroyed. No matter what she said now, Lan Hien had no way of believing it. Princess, you belong to the royal family. We are just nobles. As nobles, we have to follow the princess's footsteps. Why are you talking about trusting? Please forgive me for not sending His Majesty. Lineson sighed lightly. She looked at Lan Hien, who frowning face with a sly smile. Originally, there was something wrong to talk about, but he couldn't say it. In the end, only one sentence of goodbye was said. Then I'll go back first, Andy. I'll visit them later in the day. Is the new guy good? Lan Hien's heart trembled. His eyes showed an anxious expression. Is she still coming? Or she thought that the people of the general's mansion still in trouble because she's too small. But when in front of Lineson, Lan Hien didn't dare to say much. She smiled with a pale face. The lands in the heavens, all of them belong to the king. Where does the princess wish to go? There is no need to ask my opinion. Lineson pursed her lips. Before she left, she extended her hand to prepare. Will stroke Tyre's head, but when Lan Hien saw the hand she was extending, she tightly hugged Tyre. His eyes were covered with suspicion. Her hand stopped in the middle of the road. Fresh end does not touch that. Tyre's head, but let it go down with helplessness. Then I'll go first. Feng Ruqing glanced angrily at the gate of the general's residence, then slowly turned around, her figure gradually disappearing into the night, until her image disappeared. Finally, the frustration of Lan Hien finally relaxed. She hurriedly released Lan Hien. Left his tight embrace. With a worried expression, she said, Tyre, next time you will not see her again. Do you understand? Lan Hien was confused. Her big round eyes were shining like the stars in the sky. But brother, take me to buy snacks. Elder protects her. And also took her to buy Kui Hua snacks. Brother is no longer a bad person. Why doesn't mother still like her? Listen to mom. She will bully you, hurt you, since you were young. She was constantly tyrannical. Mom doesn't want you to get hurt again. Lan Hien had tears in her eyes. When she thought of what Lineson had done to Dare, she felt extremely painful. A good person like granddaughter, why is it possible to give birth to a daughter like this? She caused trouble to the people in the palace and the general's residence. Not enough, even the people of the people. Still almost being troubled by her. Brother. Not a bad person. Lan Dare stubbornly defended. Elder who helped her plus giving fruit, definitely not a bad person. Okay, you said she wasn't a bad person. She's not a bad person. Lan Hien let out a sigh of relief. Don't know today what kind of magic did Lineson do to Tyre to make the woman who was always afraid of Lineson become so protective of Lineson. Chapter 42. Go shy is more important. 2. It would be good if the princess was honest with Tyre. Lan Hien was scared, but she was so busy that she was bored, so she only teased Dare for fun. Dare was so naive. Anyone could only say a few words of consolation, and her anger was gone. Look, from now on, she must keep an eye on Tyre. Don't let Tyre take even one step outside the house. This will prevent that woman could hurt Dyer again. Hurry up and tell the generals that Dyer has returned. Nolan Hines' eyes were not bright. Besides, the matter of the princess coming here. Don't let the generals know. Linson had disappointed the general for a long time now. Therefore, Nolan Hine didn't want to tell the general that Linson had come to the mansion. One old general's physical and mental health had already been destroyed. Can't let the general go with another person. Yes, heroine. The guards clasped their hands in salute. Since Dyer had returned to the mansion not too long ago, what had happened in the general mansion did not cause any disturbance to the people in it. Capital city of Liyun County, but the guards in the general's mansion increased a large number of troops. Even the rear door near the gate has many guards. This is to prevent not to let Dyer run outside the manor again. Dawn, Nayland changed key and opened the door and walked out of the study room. He looked like he hadn't slept all night. Looks very tired. In the distance, Nolan changed key and saw a cute little figure walking towards him. Seeing Nolan eye his tired expression was a smile appeared on his face. Dyer, what's wrong with you? Father? Dyer's smile was so innocent, his voice sounded gentle. Dyer misses father. So I brought some fruit for father to eat. Nolan Chankian's eyes looked gentle. Just looking at this kid, his mind was greatly relaxed. Tayo is really cute. What fruit did you bring for me to eat? The fruit is very sweet and delicious. Nolan Tyre extended his hand. A red fruit appeared on her little palm. Yesterday, the elder gave her 5 children. She had already eaten 1. The remaining 4 children she kept for her father and mother. And then Day's grandfather and brother. Her. The moment Lan changed key and saw the Tianlingguo fruit, his expression was stunned. And asked in a solemn tone, Dyer, this fruit, thought, where did you get it? Such a magical power and such a wonderful fragrance. Tell me that the fruit in Tyre's hand is a magic medicine. Nalan Chankian was breathing heavily. Even though the magic power of the magic potion, this won't be strong. It was just a level 1 magic pill. But, as long as it's a magic drug, the price is enormously expensive. Has the money that he gave Dare gathered together yet? Not enough to buy even 1. Dare bought it, Elder said. Don't let father know that she is give this fruit, so I could only lie to my father saying Tyre bought it. Although she didn't know why elder brother had to let her do this. But brother who not bullying, she must not be a bad person. Where did you buy it from? Nayland changed key and continued with she. The face is more serious than before. There was a grandfather shouting for sale in the street. Dare tasted it and said it was delicious, so I bought it from my parents to eat. Dare was befuddled, his head bowed. Did Dare do something wrong? This sentence was taught by lines in. Even though the intellect higher would not be perfect. But she was not mentally retarded, so she repeated this sentence to Lan Changkian as she had learned. Nayland Changkian's voice softened. Dare didn't do anything wrong. This is a good thing. This fruit was very precious. Dyer Kong was lucky enough to buy it comfortably. But can Dare tell father where that grandfather is? Chapter 43, Grow Shy is more important 3. Yes, Tyre shook his head and replied stupefied. Tyre doesn't remember you. Never mind, Nal and Chankian smiled softly. Magic fruit. Like this, I have come according to my luck. Then Grandpa must have only eaten 2. At this time, Grandfather, your health is not strong. Let's take this magical fruit for him to eat. But Dare twisted his fingers hesitantly. Tyre also had 3 more. Each person gets 1 child. Why did father have to lift my own for grandfather too? Nalan changed key and took a deep breath and suppressed her urge to scold people. How lucky is this daughter? Nalan changed key and had gone to many medicinal pharmacies and only bought a few of them. But Nalan Tyre spent a little money. Can you easily buy up to 5 magical fruits? Since there were still 3 magical fruits. Nalan changed key and didn't hesitate. He took out the Tianlingguo fruit from Dare's hand and lightly bit it. Juicy fruit has a cool, sweet taste. Dai couldn't help swallowing his saliva. The saliva was almost stretched out. Nayland changed key and saw her daughter look like that. He handed the Tianlingguo fruit to her with a smile. Come Tyre, eat together. You, Nal and Dyer took a small bite. And smiled sweetly. When Tianlingguo fell to his stomach, Nolan's fatigue Changqian was completely gone. Feel full of energy. This magic fruit tastes really good. I want to meet grandfather who sells candles. This monkey actually gave a child. Until then, no matter how much we had to pay, had to buy several. Nolan Changqian sighed with regret. To him, Tianlingguo was very precious. If you eat Tianlingguo, even if you don't sleep, you won't feel tired. If so, he could be of great benefit to the Liuyun County. Many more, but Nolan Changqian knew that one should not be too greedy. Obtaining such a magical fruit was already very difficult. He shouldn't expect give more because how this kind of luck doesn't come around often. Dyer's big round eyes looked at Nolan Changqian with a stunned look. Although the fruit was delicious, but father was so gluttonous for this fruit to go find grandfather who didn't really exist. Tired Nolan Changqian looked at Dyer's face. Shocked, he hesitated for a moment before continuing to say, I don't know, father-in-law, did you miss it by yourself? Dad said. The scar on your face seems to have faded. At the garden in Wangluang, the air was not as fresh as outside the palace. On the way to the southern bamboo forest, a maid of honor stood in front of Linzin block her way. Princess Pika Rongji Yuifei invites the princess to meet Pika. Feng Ruqing raised his eyebrows, looked at the maid in front of him with a smile. She was just about to talk to Rongji Yuifei about the iron blood plate. Finally, Rongji Yuifei was the one who opened the door for her first. Tell Rong Guifei to let her meet me at Wuyu Palace now. If you're late, I won't wait. If you want to meet her, come and see her yourself. Linzin was not in the mood to go. Looking for a girl like that. Finishing speaking, Linzin walked past that maid without a glance. The man looked even at the corner of his eye. But she did not focus on Wuyu Palace. But it's the southern bamboo forest. After all, compared to Rongji Yuifei, her Guoshai is more important. Thinking that he would meet the beautiful Guoshai in a little while, Feng Ruqing's mood immediately improved. She was smiling all the way. Both did not forget to greet the great nobles passing by. The nobles were startled, their jaws gaping, their faces as if they had seen a ghost. This rogue princess has the time that doesn't bully others, or doesn't even greet them with a smile. Chapter 44. Qingju wants to give up one. Southern bamboo forest, beautiful scenery in spring beside the bamboo hut, the white cloth man flittering in the wind, prettier than the gods, disguised in spite of the image behind him. But it makes people, the world was stunned by its beauty. Why didn't you come to me yesterday? Nan Christian spoke in a flat voice. It was like a slow breeze, causing Linzin, who had arrived behind him, to stop. Linzin's expression was sincere. Yesterday, I thought that Guosi's figure was very beautiful, so I didn't bother you. Am I busy? Finally, the man turned around. A face beyond beautiful compared to a ray of coldness. It was just that his expression couldn't tell what he was thinking. The slightly smiling corner of his mouth didn't look very clear. Linzin naively nodded in acceptance. Guoshai has a beautiful face. There must be many people coming to cling to you. You must be busy with hospitality. With those women, when will there be a time to welcome me? No matter what, she didn't let Guosai know that she was too busy to forget about him. Nan Christian had a straight face. Speak in a soft voice. Do you think anyone can enter the southern bamboo forest? And do you think that anyone can come and cling to me? Linzin raised his eyebrows and walked closer to Nan Christian. The handsome Guoshai was about to say, only I can cling to you, right? I assumed that you were inviting me to lie with you. Nanshin's gaze took a look at the girl who was as fat as a pig. Episode from head to toe, he smiled a small corner of his mouth. Capacity, how far has yours progressed? It has something to do with my strength. Nan Christian smiled slightly. Walked up to Chong Luqing. If you want to sleep with me, then increase your own abilities. Linzin blinked lightly. You mean that if I set my mind to practice penance, I will sleep with you? Well, I've already said that. If you can defeat me, then I will agree to sleep with you. Seeing Nanshin's calm expression, Feng Ruqing's face turned sour. It looked like the road to sleeping with Guosai was still very long. So, can I have some advance rewards? Linzin glared at him. He cut his face close to Guosai and stared. Look at his face with a smile. Within a month, if you can reach the Daewoo level, you can come and visit. To Daewoo level within a month. Linsin took a deep breath. Out deep, from time immemorial, even if it was the best person in Liuyun County, without even being able to cultivate to the Daewoo level in just 1 month. Fortunately, she has a healthy cookbook. Waiting for the magic potion to grow, she started. Practicing penance seriously to reach Daewoo level in a month is not what a difficult thing. Linsin's finger lightly touched Nanshian's chin. Beautiful Guoshai, which word did you say? If I reach the Daewoo level, then I will come and take the reward from you. Nan Christian had a straight face. But looking at Linsin, he had a look in his eyes that was difficult to understand. I will go out on business. Return in a month. To the southern bamboo forest, you can come whenever you want. I'll let King Ju stay here. If you have any problem, come and find it. Hiss, hiss. A green snake emerged from Nanshian's back. His tongue stuck out in the direction where Linsin was standing, looking hostile. Linsin smiled and looked at Qingju, who looked unfriendly to her. She stroked her chin with a finger. Oh, the snake soup doesn't look bad. Qingju is a magical beast. His perception was always swift. He could sense the evil thoughts in his eyes. Linsin, it hurriedly shrank its head back down. Master, I'd better go with you. I don't want to be here. It felt that the way that woman was looking at him was as if it were looking at food. Chapter 45. Qingju wants to give up too. Nan Christian slightly frowned. A cold gaze looked at Qingju and said in a calm but firm voice, "You are here to protect her." Qingju trembled. He did not dare to disobey Nanshian's orders again, but stared at Linsin displeasedly. Qingju is afraid of humans? Or would this human dare to catch it? Really, food? In this palace, you must obey her. If I knew you wouldn't protect her well. Nanshian's gaze turned cold. Flat-toned but looks formidable. Qingju slowly retracted his head. My lord, she is no longer the same princess. I feel that she is scary. If you go, she believes me. What do? You decided to leave the small one. Pitiful like me, the only one has shamelessly. Okay? The two-syllable words that Nan Christian said indifferently almost brought Qingju to tears. Having said that, it's because he's not a female, so his lord is biased and doesn't love him. But when finished, Nan Christian didn't pay attention to the teary-eyed Qingju. He stared at Linsin with a fixed look in his eyes. I heard that. Rongji Yuifei wants to see you. Feng Ruqing responded. Can I help you with anything? No need. Linsin shook his head and smiled. With Rongji Yuifei alone, I can handle it. Nan Christian didn't say anything. His gaze continued to look at Linsin. Linsin looked at Nanshian's eyes. So I was shocked to think that I said it wrong. The old princess trusted Rongji Yuifei so much. When she said this, it was no wonder Guoshai felt suspicious of her. But she didn't know why. With Guoshai, she felt relaxed and could speak out what was on her mind without thinking. Feeling like this, she had never been with anyone before, not even her father, Feng Dianyu. After a while, Nanshian's calm voice sounded again. You managed well. Relieved, he didn't ask and didn't say anything. This made Linsin feel. If Guoshai really interrogates, she probably didn't know how to answer. As well, she wants to see you. You go. If you need something, come and see. Qingju in the southern bamboo forest, its poison was very strong. You can take advantage. Severe poisoning, or? Linsin blinked. She smiled and looked down at Qingju, who was on the ground. His eyes flickered back and forth as if he was thinking about something. Sparkle in her eyes causing Qingju to tremble once more. He instinctively dodged and moved beside Nan Christian. Good. Linsin turned around and looked at Guoshai with a smile and waved goodbye. Then 1 more month I will find you again. 1 month. Another month. When Guoshai returned, she had to let him see the new woman. Wuyu Palace. After Linsin moved away, this palace was vacant. Even Mrs. Kamnan and the guards were moved out. Only someone came to clean every day only. In this palace, Liu Rong clutched the handkerchief in a worried look, her brows furrowed, walking around with a slightly anxious expression. She didn't know exactly what was going on. Ever since Linsin woke up, he had become a different person. Not only did he disobey her, he also bullied Yuer. If it wasn't for you having assured countless times that the person who did it unfortunately, he was Linsin. She would never believe that someone who was so obedient to her could do such a thing. Suddenly, the door was opened. Liu Rong turned around to look. When seeing a familiar face, she was a little happy, then hurry and go straight to find Kinger. Are you here? I've been waiting for you for a long time. Chapter 46, The First Encounter with Rong Gui Fei 1. Linsin stood in front of the door. Diagonal sunlight splashed on the girl's face, her skin as white as jade, her white face, bright eyes, white teeth, filled with a smile. Looking at the woman standing by the doorway, Liu Rong's eyes flashed a faint image. If Linsin was thinner, she would definitely be as beautiful as Nalanin. It was a good thing that Linsin was still fat, otherwise, Xuanjier's looks would have hit her. This fox has taken it all. Rong Gai Fai heard that you wanted to see me. Linsin asked with a smile. Liu Rong was stunned when she heard the word Linsin called her. She felt a deep worry in her heart. She clenched her fists, gave a fake smile, and continued, Kinger, did you hit your? Linsin slowly walked inside the palace, sat down in a chair and said, did you come to me because of years affair? Liu Rong was slightly shocked. Before, she had heard Xuanger say that this kid would take a blood smear. Iron back. She still didn't believe it. Didn't think that in the end it would be true. King Liu Rong smiled dryly. In my heart I feel angry, treat your frog like my own daughter. Even Xuanger can't fight, I don't know. Who spoke to provoke you to make us feel distant? Iron blood sign, help me. Keep it for you in order not to be deceived by anyone because you're young. Linsin did not act in a hurry. The person you said would deceive you, blood of iron from me, is it the people of the general's mansion? Kinger, you must remember, in this world, I am the only one who is sincere to you. Others are just trying to use you. Liu Rong sighed. By the way, have you forgotten that time you were assassinated? Xuangris, the person who takes the sword for you so you can survive. I don't think that now you will become such a cruel-hearted person. In Liu Rong's beautiful eyes full of disappointment, it was a mother's disappointment towards a wrong child. It was very painful. Kinger, I want you to follow me to the Liu family once. Go apologize to Yu Er. This matter will be over. Yu Er has always been a good boy. If you don't do this to him, he wouldn't have listened to me. Liu Rong said goodbye. Lullaby with a voice as soft as the river, Linsin quickly stood up, and she smirked. I am the princess of Liuyun County. You will let me apologize to my nephew. Of a nobleman like that. Liu Rong frowned, she hurriedly explained. Kinger, I didn't mean that. Because of this you have done wrong, I just don't want. Only so you doing the wrong thing. If this matter spread, it would be a detrimental effect on the honor of the royal family. True meaning, I let you apologize. It's for yourself and Liuyun County, it's not for my benefit. If you don't go, it's like you. The royal honor was not in sight. Fengru King Yue's eyes repeatedly noticed Liu Rong from head to toe. Come, suddenly, she let out a slight smile. Rong Gai Fai, I, Linsin, still have a good reputation. What else? Besides, you think I'm wrong about this matter. Now the morning affairs are not finished yet. Let's go to our father in the hall and let the nobles help us decide. That your Liu family's grandson was wrong, or maybe it's me who's wrong. Linsin's tone sounded serious and majestic, causing Liu Rong to have an anxious expression. Earlier, when she deceived Feng Ruqing from taking the Iron Blood insignia away, both Bu and Wu were very disgusted by her. At this time, if she went to ask them to judge, no matter how polite it is, it will be right. Viewed as impolite. Chapter 47, The First Encounter with Rong Gui Fate. Moreover, she also knew very well that the whole story was caused by her. The faction teased Null entire first. If the people of the general's mansion find out, I'm afraid that the Liu family won't be able to live in peace. Princess, don't tell the bad things in the house to outsiders. If those nobles find out, they can gossip behind the princess's back, so. Liu Rong frowned, acting like a frog himself, wishing well. With Linsin, who would have known that Linsin didn't listen at all? She turned around and walked away. Kinger, where are you going? Liu Rong followed and asked. Linsin ignored her. As if seeing her as the air element, Liu Rong felt flustered to the extreme. She hurriedly grabbed Feng Ruqing's arm and said worriedly, Care, even though you know that mother wished you the best, why didn't you listen to mom? Linson wanted to flick his arm out of Liu Rong's hands. But Liu Rong was also an ascetic. Her talent was not inferior. She pulled herself several times but did not pull it official. Her plump face began to turn into emotion. But she kept her symptoms. Said in a calm voice, I don't have any mother anywhere. I only have one mother, you are only Gui Fei. What right do you have to be my mother? Besides, you must have forgotten that your Gui Fei position, how did you get it? Liu Rong's expression was not very good. The fury in her bosom almost erupted. She stubbornly suppressed it. And smiled. Kinger, mother, I only wish you well. You've been missing your mother since you were little. I feel sorry for you, so I want to be your mother. Linson looked at Liu Rong with a smile. Your good wishes, I can't take it, save your good wishes to Feng Shuing. Chinger. Liu Rong looked at Linson painfully. Why, now that you have become such a cold person? Or that the people of the mother's house, the army, told you something, didn't it? I've been told for a long time that people, they are not honest with you. They just want blood. Iron in your hand. Feng Ruqingju's eyes swayed with a nervous smile. If you don't mind taking my iron blood badge, bring back the iron blood plaque to me. Liu Rong's face turned sour, her brows furrowed. Then seriously, Sadie told you how I'm afraid you're young. I couldn't cure the blood and iron patch, so I took it to you? 8 years ago, Feng Shuing, who was still a child, saved Linson. Therefore, in return for gratitude, the original Princess Zhang was stubborn to give Feng Tianyu had made Feng Shuing's mother Gai Fai, and made all his relatives and nobles stop participating in the rites. Moreover, he gave Liu Rong a bloody badge. Linson slowly closed his eyes. After a while, she opened her eyes. Eyes as clear as water looked at Liu Rong calmly. She saved me these past 8 years. I've repaid you a lot of gratitude. If you don't return the iron blood tag to me, next I found one was Feng Shuing and Liu Yu, I'll hit them then, even if I beat them to death. Who would dare say anything to me? After all, she was a rogue of Liuyun County. Countless people who were bullied by her. Even if she died of Feng Shuing and Liu Yu, no one would dare to say a word. Liu Rong raised her head in shock. She looked at Linson with a cruel expression. Liu Rong's eyes flashed. Feeling of fear, this kid really changed. Why, or did she dream of Nalanian when she lost consciousness? Niece grandson. Liu Rong suddenly remembered something. She clenched her teeth. That fox lady who deserved to die tempted His Highness to fall in love with his head. It's not enough to put your head on, now he's dead and still chasing after her. Chapter 48, The First Encounter with Rong Gui Fei 3. Kinger, do you want to earn iron blood? I can give it back. Why should you doubt the sincerity we have for you? Yu Rong came to her senses, and she once again looked at Linson with disappointed eyes. Later on, you will regret it. You will understand that, besides us, there is no one who wishes you well. All of the grand nobles who were loyal to Nalan Empress were all disappointed with Linson. Even the people of the general mansion wouldn't want to see her again in their lifetime. If Linson had to lose them again, in the future, Linson's world would only be left with Feng Dianyu. Those people, there is no way for this nation to forgive her. Liu Rong sneered in his heart. Wait until then, Linson would cry back to her. At that time, she would, Alco, teach Linson. In fact, Dongtao Liu Rong had smeared iron blood. She wanted to command the Iron Blood Army. But the rebellious in the army Iron Blood did not obey her orders. Therefore, the iron blood stain in her hand was its just a simple sign. Can't use anything? But even so, having her pick up the iron blood tag knight is something that is reluctant. But now the opportunity is not very favorable. She didn't want to clash with Linson. So the page can only take out the sign. Came and sent it to Linson with heartache. When the iron blood plaque returned to his hand again, Linson's heart pounded uncontrollably. She clenched it tightly. Hid a nice decisiveness. Perhaps the road she had to walk was still a long way away, but at least now she had restored the iron blood sickle. Assumed to have an answer for all people under the dynasty. King, I remember another matter. Liu Rong's eyes were not met. I heard that some time ago you went to the southern bamboo forest. Maybe because Linson had smeared iron blood back, she was in a particularly good mood. She smiled and said, "Talk about it, I have to account with you. You once told me that Guo Shai was a ruthless person, causing me to dare not look at him. Didn't expect that Guo Shai would be so beautiful if he met him sooner. Is there a reason for me to be interested in Liu Yukin?" Liu Rong frowned. In the end, this kid really couldn't be interested in Guo Shai. Guo Shai must only belong to Xuanger, woman. The others could only be supporting scenes for Xuanger. "Kinger, you misunderstood me again," Liu Rong said with a small smile. "You don't know how much Guo Shai likes Xuanger." In his heart, there was only one Xuanger. "I'm afraid you will be fascinated. In Guosu, you must be sad." "So have to say that." Lin Xin raised his eyebrows as he felt it was funny. "Then why did I hear that Feng Rishuing went to cling to Guosi? Finally got hit by the green snake that he raised." The snatch plus was thrown out. Liu Rong's expression was even worse. Almost couldn't smile, but with her being a hard-hearted person in a moment, the symptoms recovered. "I don't know who said nonsense." Xuanger and the green snake were playing together, not being careful enough to get hurt. As for the story being thrown out, it's just words without evidence. At that time, Guo Shai would carry Xuanger. Can't come out of the southern bamboo forest, but she is shy, doesn't want others to know her relationship with Guo Shai, so I came out to ask for help myself. She raised her head and stared at Lin Xin. She went on to say, "Serious Tony Kinger, I see you as my own son, to tell you these things. Guo Shai loved Xuanger very much. If you think about it, then go and sheep Guo Shai. Be careful that Guo Shai doesn't get upset. He's not Li Yukin. There is no way to marry you because you are a princess." With Lin Xin's appearance and abilities, Guo Shai had no objection to her. It must be because this kid didn't obey her. Tell him to keep his head down when he sees Guo Shai. When he raised his head and saw the beauty of Guo Shai, he decided to go to the southern bamboo forest to cling to the sheep. Didn't expect that Guo Shai would be in the southern bamboo forest. So she didn't care. And has never been thrown out by Guo Shai. Chapter 49 Announcement from the Princess 1. Feng Ruqing glanced at Rong Gui Fei. "Smile and talk to Mrs. with a lazy attitude to Sai are all right. Then wait for Guo Shai to come back. I'll help you ask when he'll propose to Feng Rishuing." Liu Rong couldn't help but smile. Did this kid not understand what the lady said? Furthermore, a famous Fan Fei like Lin Xin would never have met a pure and noble Guo Shai. "Oh really?" Feng Ruqing Yue rolled her eyes and walked towards Liu Rong. "In the past, I met Li Yukin Frog. It was because Feng Rishuing helped, guided, and it was because she kept filling Myers that he was so good, so good. So I became obsessed with him. I will write notices across the city walls to thank her." Liu Rong's eyes were filled with fear and anxiety. If His Highness knew that Lin Xin fell in love with Li Yukin because of Xuanger, then His Majesty must be furious. "Kinger, did you misunderstand something? Xuanger didn't have it. A bit of that intent." Lin Xin had an unstoppable smile on his face. "Then let the whole region decide whether or not she has such intentions." Liu Rong looked helplessly at Lin Xin. When she came to her senses and what to say, Lin Xin then turned and walked towards the exit from the Audiobook, but Lin Xin's last mocking gaze still left a mark. Deep in her heart, she clenched her fists tightly. The light of dawn spreads across the sky, falling all over Lin Xin's body. She twisted lazy into the blue sky. "Maybe it's because I'm in a very good mood, so I can't help but smile." Lin Xin lowered his head and looked at the iron blood plaque in his hand, his eyes flashing. Even though the iron blood streak was already in his hand, but now is not an opportunity. The Iron Blood Army was born from His Majesty's training, although all the soldiers in the army were women. But instead make men in this world must be ashamed of not being able to fight. These people were disappointed because Mrs. She didn't want to use blood smears. Iron made them allegiance. But I want those people follow up to serve her willingly. Lin Xin rolled his forehead because of his headache. The old princess had left, but had left me with all my troubles. No matter what, the Iron Blood badge has returned. Mrs. Jadong has made the Iron Blood Army come back to be accepted by the whole world again. A decisive flash appeared in Lin Xin's eyes. She didn't go to see Feng Yanyu, but walked out of the palace. The number 1 princess. 5 large Chinese characters floated above the door. But in front of the door of the princess residence was lonely. On the street there was only 2 or 3 people pass by. It can't be compared to the bustle that used to be. Seen before, Lin Xin looked at the scene in front of the courtyard. No matter what she thought, she couldn't think of anything. She couldn't understand what really happened. She was thinking that the always bustling South Road. Why would there be fewer and fewer people? Qingling Lin Xin had just walked into the courtyard and saw Qingling. Did you know that during this time what happened to the South Road? Why was it suddenly so lonely and lonely? Qingling was stunned. She hesitated for a moment before saying, Princess, the South Road is not lonely. It's because those people know that the princess moved out here, so they walked around the palace of freeing Pika. Lin Xin had a sad expression on his face. In the eyes of the whole world, is she really that scary? Am I very scary? Lin Xin asked with a dull expression. Qingling nodded. 5 years ago, one of the children was not careful to run and hit the princess, so she was ordered by the princess to catch him and beat him almost to death. This staff of the general's residence came to see him and came to help that child. And 3 years ago the princess scrambles to buy jewelry with people in the store. Decorations, it's because the owner of the shop holds the first come, first served principle. So the jewelry was sold to other people. Finally, the princess ordered. A abandoned person then attacked the owner of the shop until he was seriously injured. Chapter 50 announcement from the princess too, and then there's also. Qingling Dong was determined to continue. But Lin Xin couldn't listen anymore. She hurriedly interrupted Qingling. No need to say you don't have to speak. Because even if she took over the memory from the princess, the same one, but did not have time to look at all the memories, can only search only important matters. Therefore, she did not think that the former princess will be cursed up to this. You really did a lot of bad things. Most deserving of death, Mina. Those people saw her and had to walk away. Is it for this reason, princess? Although she normally doesn't like to go out to the palace, but every year she has to go out to play once. Each year there must be someone right. The princess bullies the servant. Qingling stopped to carry one, she said shyly. Helping the princess do bad things, not less. She couldn't follow the princess, otherwise there would be an end like Lili, or maybe even worse. Enough. Enough, Lin Xin waved his hand. The last story, let it go. Next time, let's not repeat the same mistake. The servant will do everything the princess commands. Lin Xin covered his chin with his hand. Good, I'll let you stick. Announcement sheet. The content of the announcement is a divorce letter. She had already warned Minister Liu. But in the end, he didn't take it. Return the divorce letter, she dropped. Since it was like this, if she hadn't divorced Liu Yukan, then how will he have the right to flirt with Guosai? One of the joys is Liu Yukan disgusted that she looked ugly and had never slept together until now, thus causing her to still maintain her virginity. Ha! Qingling was dazed, wrote down. A divorce letter? By lines, and first of all, thanks to Feng Rishuing for taking me to get to know Liu Yukan. Plus, he keeps saying that he's good like that. This made me fall in love with him. Later, thanks to Rong Ji Yuifei, she told me that I was the imperial princess. There is a royal father waiting for the end. Liu Yukan didn't dare to disobey his imperial decree not to marry me. Like this, using his power to force him to take me as his wife. Lin Xin smiled. Her smile was mischievous. She continued, but when I lost consciousness and had a dream of seeing Her Majesty, I knew that defying reality in the end was all but lost. So I wrote a divorce letter. Let Liu Yukan let him go free. And give yourself the opportunity to find true love. Float. Qingling listened and kept silent. She looked at Lin Xin with blank eyes. Do you remember what I said? If you remember, go find the paper. Brush to write for me attached to the city wall. Now that I, Lin Xin, tell me, divorce my husband, from now on, Liu Yukan and I are no longer related. Lin Xin flicked Qingling's forehead with her fingers as she told her to write. Yep, Qingling had just recovered. Princess, the servant is going to write. Announce it now. Seeing Qingling hurriedly walking towards the study room, the smile on Lin Xin's face slowly faded away. Rong Ji Yuifei and Feng Rushuang dared to think of dishonesty with me. They must pay. Today, Liuyun County was particularly bustling. Countless people overwhelmed by the walls of the city crowded and crowded until there was nowhere to walk. Yukon, what's there? A gentle voice sounded behind the crowd. There are people who like to be fussy. Looking back, when he saw two people approaching, his expression instantly changed. Hurry up and pull the person next to you. Soon, all the people noticed two people approaching. Therefore, instinctively opening the path, their expressions were strange. Liu Yukon lightly frowned. He didn't understand what was going on, so Zhongtan Shuang's Huang walked closer to the city wall. The first thing I saw was a plaque that said announcement from the princess. His face discolored. Lines in again. What else is this woman looking for?
Desire to listen to good novel? Don't forget to subscribe.